Hello and welcome to Nigeria Votes. I am Ngozi Alebu. Yes, the day is finally here and it began 30 minutes ago. The moment Nigerians have been waiting for, the country's 6th general election since the return of democratic governance in 1999. According to the Independent National Electoral Commission, a total of 72.7 million Nigerians who have collected their permanent voter cards or PVCs are eligible to cast their ballots today. Now, Nigerians will elect a president out of a total of 73 candidates nominated by their political parties. And similarly, voters will choose 109 senators out of 1,880 candidates and 360 members of the House of Representatives out of 4,631 candidates. Now, at least 3 police officers each would be drafted to the 119,973 polling units across the country for the general election. Of course, the IG of Police, Mohammed Adamu, says that about 360,000 policemen have been deployed all over the 36 states, including the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, and they will not be armed. All right, at this time, let me bring in my guests right here in the studio on Nigeria Votes. I have to my left, Janet Mba Afolabi, a journalist. Good morning, good to see you.
Good morning, how are you?
Very well, thank you. How are you?
The day has come.
Absolutely, the day is here.
And the hour is here.
I wonder how excited you are.
I am. I'm really, really excited as a journalist, as a Nigerian, because today our nation is going to vote.
Absolutely. And of course, I have Dr. Fasi Yusuf on my right. Good morning, good to see you.
Nice seeing you. You're looking radiant.
You too. You look like you're ready to go today.
Sure.
You're as excited as Janet is for this election that has...
For real, for real.
Okay. So now let's set the ball rolling like this. So much we've been hearing a lot about what's been going on as the day broke today. In Gaydam, all doesn't seem to be well with explosions in different parts of in Borno there. And of course, there's the Kogi crisis where a party spokesman has been abducted, all kinds of things. And all of this flashes here and there, in spite of the fact that the IG of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has given the assurance over and over and over again that as far as security is concerned, the police, the security forces and agencies are on top of it. Dr. Yusuf, let me start with you. With what you're hearing so far, what comes to mind?
Well, those of us who are keen, excuse me, who are keen watchers of the Nigerian political scene, we are not in any way surprised. I mean, we don't expect that all will be calm, even in the more enlightened climes. Where democracy has found its root. Things like that do rear their ugly heads. In America, yes, I mean, during the prelude to the last presidential election, a lot of crises. So if you have something like that in Nigeria, in a growing democracy where the stakes are quite high, and that people believe that it's a winner takes all, and there are bound to be a lot of squabbles, a lot of manipulations, a lot of issues that we may not necessarily find a place with us. But
okay, so this is not troubling for you as far as you're concerned?
It is not. I mean, as long as it is under control.
Now, that's another matter entirely. Janet, how do you feel about these flashes going on here and there, especially the case of Gaydam in Yobe State, where Boko Haram have attacked? I mean, some 7 explosions have happened already. This morning.
And yes, even in Maiduguri, I heard it on the news. But you know that when there's any preparation for anything good, there are also those who may be against it. So they're also preparing to disrupt it, to make sure that it is not hitch-free as those who are organizing it intended to be. So it is not surprising that this is happening, especially in the northeast, where all this kind northwest, where Maiduguri is and Yobe is. somehow security experts have said that this may happen, but it is the ability of the security agents to contain it, to ensure that their will does not prevail. Their will may be that this election should not hold in those places, to disturb election and make sure that maybe it is nullified, maybe it is cancelled, maybe some people are disenfranchised, maybe people will be intimidated and out of fear. And you know that fear is a weapon of terror. Is a great weapon. So now they want to use the weapon of fear to drive away people who already have their PVCs. They don't want to die. They say, okay, instead of going to vote and die, let them live and manage a bad government, if that's what they wanted to change anyway.
But the question then is, do you really believe that the police is on top of its game? I mean, you have about 176,973 polling locations all across 774 local governments across the nation. And the police IG has said about 3 policemen will be deployed to each polling unit.
Yes. What we have
and they will not be armed.
Yes. Of course, because the army itself is capable of sending jitters to the electorates. And therefore, in election, force has no place there. But coming along this way today, of course, you see roads that are mounted, roadblocks and all the rest, that are, the people there are armed. But when you talk about the polling booths, the arms have no place there. But the matter should be that, yes, 3 policemen and other sister agencies will post people there, but they are not for security in terms of intelligence gathering in other places. Like the places you mentioned now, were in Borno. What is happening there? You can talk about the intelligence gathering in that area. What is the situation? Are they in a position to really nip this in the bud, or they were not too proactive? It's different from posting men to the polling booths, because we've not been told that these explosions happened in polling booths, but in areas that are not manned.
Away from the polling
away from the polling booth. So
all
what
right.
that is trying to say is that they are preventing, they are trying to send signals to the people that don't come out. And as my colleague said, they want them to be disenfranchised.
Create fear.
And they
okay, let me just put you on hold, because we're going to be going to our reporters all across the country in the course of this special election coverage. We have TVC News correspondent Abimbola Agbebi, who is monitoring the exercise in Alimosho local government area. She reports that not much activity is going on at the various polling units visited so far. At Unit 021 in Ward E area of the local government, where the Lagos West APC senatorial candidate Adeola Solomon is expected to cast his vote, INEC ad hoc officials are yet to arrive. Meanwhile, TVC News spoke to some election observers at the polling unit who expressed optimism about the exercise.
It's the election day, and we are in Alimosho local government area, the largest in the state, which has been subdivided into several other local communities. And we are in Unit 01 in Ward E area of the local government. This is where the Lagos West APC senatorial candidate Adeola Solomon is expected to cast his vote. Not much activity is going on, but as you can see behind me, we have a few electorate here who are here to look through the list to see if their names are on the list. We have been to a few places in this particular local government. Not much activity is going on. The INEC ad hoc officials are not yet seen at the places visited at this particular polling unit as well. Meanwhile, I have a few election observers here who are here to monitor activities. Good morning.
Good morning, Danny.
What's going on? What are your observations?
Yes, my observation is that people are still coming out, and INEC people are still waiting INEC people to be here. But to thank God we are here. And we are seeing things are moving well. So in short while, people will come out.
Have you been to other polling units?
Yes, like Ilewe side, Ward E2, we are there. Nothing yet. Yeah, we are still waiting.
Okay, nothing yet. That was an election observer. Obi isn't telling us what she has seen at the various polling units she visited this morning. All right, we hope that in a few minutes there will be a flurry of activities happening at the various polling units. But as I speak, not much activity is going on. Abimbola Agbebi, TVC News, Lagos.
All right, that's Bimbola Agbebi right there at the Alimosho area here in Lagos, where she reports that not much is happening so far. That was as at the time of that report. Right now, it's about 8:45. You would expect that gradually some level of activity as far as the election is concerned would have begun to pick up. Well, now joining me in the studio on Nigeria Votes, of course, I already introduced them earlier. Let me do that again. I have Janet Mba Afolabi right here with me, and of course, Dr. Fasi Yusuf is a lawyer, and we'll be looking at this morning. All right, so let's even go to the postponement of this election by 1 week. It was meant to happen February 16, last Saturday. And here we are, February 23rd. The day has finally arrived. And from all indication, this election is a done deal. The president has already voted in Daura, and he was asked questions, and he said, so far, so good. So which means that, does it give you a level of confidence that INEC would have been able to smoothen the rough edges, all those logistic issues that actually made it almost impossible for INEC to actually have, or even impossible for INEC to conduct that election last Saturday?
I think there is a level of preparedness on the part of INEC for this election, this 23rd election, than the 16th election. Because at the 16th election, they were not sure that voting will go on simultaneously in all the states. Materials had arrived certain states and had not arrived certain states. So either election would have been cancelled in some places or staggered in some places. But for this one, it has arrived. Even some people work in Central Bank because that's where they keep those materials before they
especially the sensitive materials.
Yes, they even confirmed that the materials came like 3 days too. Unlike the 16th election, when some of them slept in the office and the materials did not come 2 days, even a day too. So they were confused that they were getting wrong signal that is this election going to hold? Materials are not here. But I think INEC has perfected all those logistic problems. But I cannot speak for those areas like Bayelsa, the riverine, where they have to travel to water, speedboat and all that, and some mountainous places. For now, I cannot speak for that, but for all other places where the terrain is motorable and they can reach, all the materials are there.
Now, speaking of places like Bayelsa, for example, where about 7 local governments are actually riverine. So, from your standpoint, Dr. Yusuf, do you think INEC is on top of its game, or is it too early in the day to make that conclusion?
Yes, I would say that it's too early in the day to make that statement, because I mean, you're just about 1 hour into the, less than 1 hour into the election. So what I want to do is to adopt cautious optimism and to hope that paribus, all things being equal, will get to the promised land. And I believe that the 1 week break has enabled INEC to be better prepared and to learn some lessons. And the lessons are now being found useful in planning for the 23rd rescheduled date. And I believe that all things being equal, we should have a very credible, fair, and acceptable election.
Well, as a matter of fact, the American Bar Association, the ABA, has expressed confidence that this election will actually be free, fair, and transparent. All right, news just reaching us says a policeman on election duty in Okene, Kogi State was shot dead last night. Now, that's a very, very troubling
disturbing development.
All right. Okay, so now, this not very, very encouraging one when you hear that the policemen who really should be the ones keeping the security, ensuring security all across the 176,000 voting locations are now at the receiving end of violence.
That's the problem of money politics, because when there's so much money involved in politics, it begins to maneuver the electoral behavior of the people. You cannot guarantee how people will behave because they've already been manipulated by different people who have deep vested interests. Who knows who shot this policeman? It could be a partisan voter or intending voter. It could be an argument. Details of why he was shot has not been released. It's not out yet. But it must have been shot by an aggrieved person for whatever reason. And it's disturbing. And other policemen may be discouraged. Other policemen may become agitated. You know, they want to now protect themselves. The IG said they should not carry arm, but I think they should carry arm. Because if they don't carry arm, they can easily be overwhelmed by violent voters.
Yeah, but Dr. Yusuf seems to think that when you see a policeman, an armed one for that matter, on an election day, and as a voter, you're making your way to the polling center, yes, that might just turn you off.
The police and other security agencies, they have their modus operandi. They have the way they operate. The fact that 3 policemen at a particular polling booth unarmed and other security agents are there, it does not mean that far off or some 100 meters from that place, you don't have armed security agents or plainclothes security agents who might quickly come to the rescue in case of any attack or perhaps in case of any danger. But the point is that in a polling booth, the Electoral Act does not allow policemen to carry arms or any other security person having a responsibility to perform there to carry arms, because it's capable of sending the wrong signals to the electorate. And it could even be misused.
So how fast could be the response of those around? You know, depends on the quick response.
Well, that is
okay, you know what, let me put you on hold again. Okay. You're going to have to get used to that very, yes. This morning, from Anambra State, we hear that Peter Obi is about to cast his vote. Of course, Peter Obi is the running mate to the PDP presidential candidate. The visuals you're seeing there right now, live visuals, I believe, from Anambra State, which is, of course, the homestead of Peter Obi. So it's looking good, isn't it?
Yes.
The candidates are
the early turnout of voters, especially the critical stakeholders, I mean, the dramatic partner, those that are involved.
The key.
Yes, it's a right signal that I think electorates should emulate, and it should also turn out in mass.
Now, speaking of which, of course, the president in his election eve broadcast did plead with Nigerians to come out in their numbers to vote, not to allow the postponement, the 1-week postponement to discourage them from casting their ballot. The issue, the challenge of voter apathy is a major one, isn't it? Is it something that really one can take for granted? Now, come to think of it, the brouhaha is a question I've asked over and over again. All that talk from all the different parties that the 1-week window should have allowed them from the get-go to actually continue their campaigns. Their argument was that this would help them, speak to those who have not been reached or those who are still undecided about, who to vote for or not. Do you think they made good use of that particular window?
I think they made
to further sell their ideas to the electorate.
You can campaign to the eve of election, because in politics anything can happen. You can never know who you will convince. Someone who was on the other side and then be brought back. So the campaigns were okay. But a lot of people had this expectation that election was going to hold. And that expectation rose and fell by the midnight announcement. Many of them were asleep when the announcement came. They woke up, got ready to go and vote, only to see that there was no reason to vote anymore. A lot of them traveled to so many places to go and vote. And some of them couldn't travel for this one. Those schools were asked to pick, parents to pick their children, but this time around, schools did not ask parents to come and pick their children. So what happens to those teachers, those housemasters who are with the children in school? They will not vote. They can't leave the children to go and vote. And in any case, they may not have registered in the vicinity of those schools. So, and that was unlike last week's election. They could have been part of the voters today, but they are denied that opportunity.
Dr. Yusuf, will this election today end up being an anticlimax?
Well, I don't have any reason to believe that. I don't have the statistics. I don't have any analysis to point to that fact. Well, it could turn out to be a blessing in disguise. And what you know is that the additional awareness created by the postponement could be to the advantage of the various candidates and the political parties.
Yes, you can see there from the visuals, live visuals from Anambra. That's Mr. Peter Obi, the running mate of the PDP presidential candidate, about to cast his ballot. And from all indication, everything seems to be going on smoothly. No untoward situation going on anywhere around that. It is a good one. We have emphasized that already. Now let's even go to the issue of INEC's guidelines for voters. There's been conflicting signals as to whether the voter can use all fingers in casting his ballot based, of course, on the large size of the ballot paper that will be used today.
Yes. What we've been educated about is that any of the fingers will do, because by the time you are registered as a voter, all the 10 fingers were captured, and therefore any will do. And why they are suggesting this is that this one and the second one and the fourth one will be quite slimmer compared to any other.
Because of the space of
the
box where the
there are just
ballot
too
will be
many.
cast.
We're talking about,
so that we don't have
we have about
too many
91 political parties,
yes,
and you have about 78 candidates contesting and all the rest. So that's a whole lot. And
all right,
you have to be careful while you are thumb printing.
Dr. Fasi Yusuf, I must say thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's going to be ongoing, this special election coverage. And of course, Janet Afolabi, thank you very much for joining us bright and early this special election morning. Well, at the top of the hour, it will be time for the news. Of course, you will get to hear all the goings on all across Nigeria as Nigerians go to the ballot. For more details on developing stories and breaking news, visit our website, tvcnews.tv, and also join the conversation on our social media platforms using at TVC News NG. We'll be back in 30 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Back to Nigeria Vote Studios, our special coverage of the general election. Of course, that's been ongoing already. It started officially at 8 a.m. I'm Ngozi Alebu. Well, Nigerians are turning out in their numbers across the country to exercise their civic responsibility. A vice presidential candidate, Peter Obi, has cast his vote in Anambra State. We have our correspondent spread across the length and breadth of the nation, bringing us updates. You can connect with us, of course, via social media using the hashtag Nigeria Votes. And you can tweet to us using the handle at TVC News. At this time, let me reintroduce my guests who have been with me already in the studio. Janet Afolabi is a journalist. Thank you so much for joining us and staying with us.
It's my pleasure.
And I have Dr. Fasi Yusuf, a lawyer and political analyst, also joining me right here in our special election votes studio. Good to have you.
Thank you very much.
All right, you've been listening and watching the goings on so far. Reports from our correspondents from different parts of the country, right here in Lagos, Anambra, where Peter Obi has cast his ballot. But there's something that seems to be a common thread running through all the inputs from our correspondence that INEC seems to have not gotten it entirely right when it comes to timing.
You know, we still have problem with management. Time management is a key problem, even in our daily lives. That's why they say, oh, it's African time. It's the same attitude of African time that is affecting this election, which is the most important event for this year and even for today. I expected that by 8 a.m., with the level of preparedness, that election would have gone on simultaneously. Maybe they have a way of communicating and say, we've started here, we started here. At the same time, by now, to 9:30, voting would have commenced intensely. There will be no complaints. The only two areas where there were no complaints about INEC officials are not here are in Daura, where the president voted. He voted, I looked at my wristwatch, it was 8:03, which means the INEC officials got there maybe 6 o'clock. This is where the president is coming to vote. And then the second place in Anambra, where Peter Obi also voted.
All right, let me put you on hold. Our correspondent, Maria Olashende, one of our reporters scattered all across the country. She's in Abuja, the presidential villa and police affairs polling unit in Abuja. She says that some residents are having a difficult time finding their names on the voters list provided by INEC. They've been asked to go to Area 3. Meanwhile, Chief of Staff of President Muhammadu Buhari, Abba Kyari, has cast his ballot. Maria, good morning. Good to have you. What can you tell us about this latest developments there, where, of course, we hear that some voters they can't find their names on the list? Hello, Maria. All right, we'll try to reconnect with Maria Olashende as soon as we can. Dr. Fasi Yusuf, now this latest one, I wonder how it comes to you that some voters cannot just find their names on the voters list.
Well, I think that must be due to lethargy or perhaps carelessness on the part of the voters. This would have been done long ago. A lot of enlightenment was done, a lot of education was done, and they asked voters to check their polling unit online. And if an intending voter did not do that before now, then that voter has nobody to blame.
That, of course, is if we conclude that the voters had not before now checked their names. It's possible that they could have checked their names and they found their names on the list only to show up on election morning and it's not there.
And then
that's another matter.
About online, how many of these voters are literate enough to go online to check their names? Do they even have data? Are their phones the kind of phones that they can check online? How many of them? These are millions, particularly of
the rural areas. When you're talking about Abuja now, you see, the point is this. If you don't have a phone that has internet connectivity or any, but you have friends, you have people around you. See, what I'm saying is that any serious eligible voters that is educated to a point and who has a phone that is that has an internet facility, should be able to check. At the same time, one could also go to any of these offices to check. So right now, doing that at the 0 hour, to my mind, I mean, it does not show that you are even ready to exercise your civic responsibility.
Now, speaking of readiness of the voter to actually exercise their civic responsibility, from all the reports we're getting so far, both from VGC at the Lake area in Lagos and other places, the voters are turning out with a lot of excitement and enthusiasm to actually cast their ballot.
Yes.
So the whole, that concern about whether there will be voter apathy, with what we've seen so far, that doesn't seem to be the case. You want to respond to that, but let me bring in Femi Akonde. All right, TVC News correspondent, of course, Femi Akonde, who is in Adamawa State, says only one card reader is in use at the Ajia ward, unit 012, while the other is faulty. But INEC officials are working to resolve the card reader problem. A team of INEC's IT department have retrieved the faulty card reader, and a replacement is expected to be brought soon. Well, PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar is expected to cast his vote at this particular polling unit. Is this deja vu? Remember in 2015 where the sitting president was, had the challenges with his, casting his ballot because of the card reader problem. Of course, the vice presidential candidate of the opposition party, Peter Obi, who cast his ballot there, actually did say that it's not a perfect process. Yeah, well, we shouldn't expect it to be perfect, should we?
There is no process that is perfect. Only the creator of the universe is perfect. Any process that human beings are involved are prone to manipulations and problems. And this is one of them. We remember in 2015, the ex-president, Jonathan, I was also here, we were watching on TV. The card reader did not read. And he was online for a long time. They tried and tried. Perhaps if they knew it was going to be faulty, they would have tested it before he came in. But they just wanted him to be the first to vote. And look at the way the machine disappointed them.
Well, let's hope INEC can actually troubleshoot and fix that as quickly as possible. Our correspondent, Maria Olashende, who is at the presidential villa and police affairs. Okay, I'm told we have somebody else. Make me understand who we have. Is it Femi Akonde or Maria Olashende? All right, we have Femi Akonde, is our senior correspondent. He is in Adamawa. Yes, he says only one card reader is in use. Femi, good to see you. Now, talk to us about that faulty card reader and other developments there where you are at Ajia Ward.
Yes, that happened about 20 minutes ago. We just noticed the presiding officer having a chat with an INEC official. We understand that that INEC official is from the IT department, and then he walked away with a card reader, and I walked up to the presiding officer. To ask what exactly was going on, and she told me that that card reader is faulty, but she says it's just network issues. It's not a major problem. And I asked her, how soon will this card reader be returned? She told me over in about 20 minutes time, the card reader will be returned to the polling unit, and of course it will be put to use again. But for now, it is yet to be returned to the polling unit. And I asked her, how would this impact on the voting process? She said, yes, definitely it will slow down the process because there are two lines there, one for the men and one for the women. Before some of them will have to, then the two card readers were functioning simultaneously. But now it's just one card reader, one at a time, going to the accreditation area to make use of the card reader. So this has surely slowed down the voting process here at Ajia Ward.
Typically, how many card readers should we have in that unit where you are? Okay, it looks like Femi Akonde is trying to fix his, his earphone back so that he can hear me clearly, trying to find out. Is Femi still there? Okay, Femi.
Yes, I'm right here, Ngozi.
Fantastic. My question is, how many card readers typically should be in deployment where you are?
Yes, at this particular polling unit, we just saw 2 card readers. And then among ourselves, we were talking that we expected that maybe there should be a spare just within reach, a spare card reader just within reach. But as it is, there's no provision for a spare card reader in this particular polling unit in case one of the card readers become faulty. And now one card reader is faulty, and they had to take it out of this area. We don't know where they are taking it to. We believe that card reader is being taken to the INEC office. The lady told me that it's just the SIM card that needs to be changed, and from all indications, it looks like there are no spare SIM cards or spare card readers here for them to replace the malfunctioning one.
All right, Femi, before I let you go very quickly, do voters have a clear understanding of exactly how they should cast their ballot there?
Yes, we've seen them demonstrate that understanding of how their ballot should be cast. It's just, say, for a few of them who really don't know or probably cannot read, and they can't identify which ballot box is for the presidential ballot papers and which is for the senatorial and the House of Representatives, where such voters approach the ballot boxes, they are guided by the assistant presiding officer who it shows them how to, or where to drop each ballot paper so that they don't get misplaced, and then their votes will be void at the end of the day.
All right, thank you very much, Femi Akonde, there, the Ajia Ward in Adamawa, where, of course, the presidential candidate of the PDP is expected to cast his ballot. We've been told by Femi that one card reader is faulty, and INEC IT department is doing all it can to ensure that that particular card reader is in good condition. Back to the studio here, where Janet, I mean, are you laughing at the process?
I'm not laughing at the process. I'm laughing at the point where the card reader is faulty. It is a wrong place to be faulty because people begin to read meanings to it. If it were faulty in another place, which is not where the presidential candidate of the opposition is supposed to vote, nobody will say anything. But because it is there, even if genuinely the card reader is faulty, those who want to find faults will now use it as an excuse to say that they want to sabotage, they want to disenfranchise some people, because a lot of people will now wait for that card reader to come before they're able to vote. There are long queues, they're using one. So how long will it now take for the other one to come back? That's the question. That's why I laughed.
Begging for answers. In the meantime, reports just getting to us say that some parts of Surulere right here in Lagos have not seen any INEC officials yet. And this is about plus or minus about 18 minutes to 10. No INEC officials have been cited in some polling areas in Surulere, Lagos. Dr. Fasi Yusuf.
Yeah, well, as I said, we...
Not a perfect
Yes, I said
process.
I was going to adopt cautious optimism, and that it was too early to predict the sequence of events. Well, as we've been told now, some parts of Lagos and some other parts of the country are yet to commence the voting exercise. We are only hoping that INEC officials will be listening to us, and they are taking note of all this, and perhaps their men on the field are giving them feedback so that they can take remedial action, and that they will be responsive and they will be proactive to some of these things.
Now, how useful is it that accreditation and voting would go on pari passu simultaneously? Is that going to at least cut down the challenge of time, extending this voting process beyond the normal time that it should take? 8 o'clock to 2 p.m. is the official time set aside for this election.
Well, not necessarily so. What that 2 p.m. is saying, that you must be within the vicinity of the polling booth.
Yes.
Once you are there, even if the exercise goes on to 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, you will still be allowed to cast your vote.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's not going to be the dimension that you can vote, or they will vote simultaneously with accreditation and all that, is to hasten the process. Now that they set aside 12 noon for registration, commencement of voting, 12 noon. I think the way it is now, you can immediately do your registration, collect your ballot papers, thumbprint, cast a vote, and leave if you want to leave. If you want to leave, stay around. So it will hasten the process.
Now, speaking of hastening the process, how heartening was it for you to see the Nollywood actor there, Omoni Oboli, actually volunteering to help hasten the process? They were taking the list of voters who were present there, so that as soon as INEC officials arrived, it would make the work a lot easier. How exciting is that for you, that the average Nigerian is actually volunteering in this process?
It's very exciting for me, because that's the kind of spirit that I have too. I like people who volunteer, take charge of the situation. You can lead from anywhere. You don't have to be president to lead. Look at what she did in that small community. She has introduced orderliness, so that by the time INEC officials arrive, they will follow the list. They call your name and then you line up. There'll be no chaos, there'll be no confusion, there'll be no argument, there'll be no anxiety, and there'll be no hostility. So that is what that young girl has been able to do. And I salute her courage to do that, and I salute her intentions, because she has very good intention. She's very patriotic. She wants the best for her community, first of all, to be at peace, because she also wants to vote, and she will benefit from that peace and harmony. You could see that everybody, there was no confusion. Everybody were just standing, maybe because of the environment. It's an elitist environment.
Yeah, that's in the VGC area.
It is an elitist environment, but at least it is coordinated. She has helped that process to be coordinated.
Is that to say then that the onus necessarily does not lie on INEC alone to ensure that this process goes on in a way that will be acceptable to every Nigerian at the end of the day? You have the security agencies on the one hand, you have the voter, you have the political parties, and of course the electoral umpire, on whose table it lies at the end of the day. But everybody really should chip in. It's
everybody's process. We must key into it. You see, like what the young lady there was doing, in America, in Britain, you see all that happening. You remember that was one of those things that brought Barack Obama into prominence. He was involved in volunteers job in
it was actually a community mobilizer.
And others doing a lot of volunteers job. So if you see that in Nigeria, there is a welcome development, and I believe that to create orderliness, to create to engender peace, to engender harmony, and a lot of organization. Because even if the names are not read out, you know who was registered before you, and you know who was registered after you, and therefore, when the time comes for you to queue, you know where you belong. So it's the right step. It's something that should be copied by other patriotic Nigerians.
All right, let's even look at the way Nigerians in the different blocks, from the northeast, northwest, southwest, north central, and of course south-south, have picked up their votes, the PVCs, I beg your pardon. When you look at the map of those who have picked up their PVCs or PVC collection, you still have a situation where in the northeast, where there are security challenges,
yes,
actually recording the highest number of PVC collection.
No, Katsina recorded the highest. Katsina recorded the highest with 98.7%. Yes, 98.7% of PVC collection. But in the south, Lagos recorded the highest
with 5.5.
5.5, and Ekiti recorded the lowest. Those who registered 600,000. Yes, those who registered in Ekiti were 109, and those who collected their PVCs in Ekiti were 666.6, sounding like a recurring decimal. 666.6 was the lowest in the south, which is Ekiti, and out of is still the lowest. So, but up north, you could see that the people who collected their PVCs after registration were still higher. All the top numbers still came from that northeast, despite the security challenge that they have. So I wonder, could it be that they were mobilized? Could it be that they were well educated about this voting process? And it takes me to what happened in 2015 election. During that, the collection of PVCs.
Let me just put you on hold. You can see the live feed there from Benue, where the governor of that state, Samuel Otom, is about to cast his ballot. And this is about 10 minutes to 10 in the morning, almost 2 hours after the ballot officially started. All right. So it's looking good. Onlookers there. Yes, enjoying the scene.
No, media men,
so far.
Observers and others.
Observers, and it's interesting that so far, 2 hours, one could safely say, 2 hours into the election, we're not hearing too much of any kind of untoward situation yet. Of course, our reporters are all around, all across the country. They're everywhere, and they've been feeding us in on developments both in Lagos, in Benue, like you just saw there, in different parts of the country.
Yeah.
So far. So far, so good?
Yes, so far, so good. We just expect that INEC will be up to the task, and that the momentum will be kept, and also that the enthusiasm will not be dampened, and that the areas requiring urgent attention will be accorded attention, and that they'll be getting feedback from the field, and they will act accordingly.
Yes, indeed, they will act accordingly. And there's so much, this logistic issue. You recall when the INEC chairman, Mahmoud Yakub, was asked during the daily press briefing towards the election today, actually stated emphatically that he was not complaining when he was asked the question of funding. And so would you say then that INEC has no excuse whatsoever when it comes to this logistics challenge that actually caused the postponement of the election in the first place? And of course, you know, when you respond to that, would like to, you know, talk about the ad hoc staff challenges. Janet, INEC, no excuses?
I think they have no excuses because they requested for this time. If they had fixed June, maybe the election would have held in June. Because
that will have been unconstitutional.
That's on a lighter side. What the point I'm trying to make is that they chose this date. They fixed this date, and it's not an improvisation. It is not something that they just woke up and did in a hurry. They've been preparing for 4 years, and a week to the event, they said we're not prepared and took another 7 days deadline, and it was given to them. So there should be no excuses whatsoever. However, we are human beings. Anything can go wrong because we don't have control over anything.
Well, like the INEC chairman said, only an act of God.
Yes, only an act of God. Maybe there is a tsunami, you know, can stop it. And we have seen that the election is already holding.
But it must be pointed out, really, that INEC did say that it didn't start preparing for this election 4 years ago. And besides, there were so many litigations on INEC's neck, if I could put it that way.
Well, I think
and
that
so many things that they had to
when I heard that announcement, I think I was unable to persuade myself to align my thought with what INEC said. They've been on this game for about 20 years now, since 1999. See, what they can say is that the money did not come early enough, but all the arrangements had been perfected. And they knew that we were going to conduct this election, and they were also aware that it was a constitutional thing, and that whether we like it or not, the election will have to be conducted unless we're going to have a constitutional crisis. So if we were to believe what the INEC chairman said, he said he has no reason to complain. So we cannot be crying more than the bereaved. He's not telling us he has problems.
Okay, let's bring correspondent Maria Olashende, who is at the Presidential Villa and Police Affairs Polling Unit in Abuja. Hello, Maria. Good morning. Good to see you. Yes, finally we have you there. What can you report for us?
Okay, this is the Presidential and the Police Affairs Polling Unit here at the Villa. The voting and accreditation started at about 8 a.m. and everything has been peaceful so far. The card reader is working. As you can see, if my cameraman can pan, the queue, everybody is orderly. The Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, has cast his vote, and other people are waiting patiently. If you can pan to the canopy there, it's alphabetically. There is A, B, C, D. So it's according to your name. That's how you vote. But one major challenge here is about 30 people are stranded. They said they registered here, but they can't find their name on the list. So they are trying to get a vehicle to convey them to Area 3, where they say that's where their list is. But I have someone here with me who is ready to talk to us about the whole process. What's your name?
My name is Haruna Tiawakar. I live in Maraba, but my polling unit is here. So, and I'm here since 8 a.m. and I've casted my vote. Everything is going on peacefully, and we pray everything to go on peacefully
Okay, did you register here?
I registered here, and this is my polling unit, and I've casted my vote.
Okay. So what other things do you observe?
I observe that everything here is going normal according to how things are supposed to be going.
And you can see the security are actually in place.
Yeah, the security people are here, there's peace, and everything is going on majestically.
Okay, so are you going to wait after are you going to wait to count with them, or you're going home?
I may wait. Yes, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, Ngozi. So, yeah, like the man said, he's going to wait to protect his vote.
And from what I'm seeing so far, large voter turnout there, though you say it is very orderly, peaceful, there's nothing untoward going on there.
We have about 2 polling units here, 021 and 022. Under 021, there are about 3,708 votes. Then under 022, there are about 3,705 votes, although they are close to each other. But despite the number of the votes, everything is still peaceful here.
INEC officials,
the AU observers, they said they won't be able to talk to us now until after the whole process is done.
of course, their job is just to observe and nothing else. What can you tell us about the early turn up or otherwise of INEC officials?
I didn't get it collected, but I heard about the INEC ad hoc staff. They came here as early as 6:45, somewhere here at about 6 a.m., and they've been on top of their games. They've been trying to conduct the people to be orderly and peaceful, and giving them the necessary information that they need. Because at the time, the people were like angry that they are not getting the communication feedback is bad. They're not getting any response from them. So one of them had to stand up on the podium and address the audience. And since she has done that, everything is peaceful, and they are casting their votes the way it should be.
And there are no issues as to how the voters should cast their ballots. That has been a matter of concern, talking about whether the voters actually know exactly which finger to use in casting their ballot. Do you have any such situation there?
Yes, that's another challenge for those. You know, on the ballot sheet we have so many parties. So for one woman, she was like confused that the parties on the ballot sheet are too much. So she just came with the idea of the symbol.
All right, we're quickly taking you to Adamawa, where the presidential candidate of the opposition PDP is about to cast his ballot there. In the what's the name? Yeah, right there. There was the issue of the card reader challenge earlier. Whether that challenge has been surmounted, we will get to know shortly. Of course, our man Femi Akonde is there, and he's been reporting on developments there for us. As the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the PDP, about to cast his ballot. All right, I guess the INEC staff are taking his details to confirm, as it should, with what is on his PVC. Right there in Adamawa, one of the second places where they have the largest turnout, well, PVC is picked up. 90% of pickup of PVC is right there in Adamawa State. A reflection of what is likely to happen, both Katsina and Adamawa, where the two major contenders come from, recorded a very high PVC collection rate. Okay, of course, the PDP presidential candidate is being thronged and almost overwhelmed. Hopefully, he will be able to cast his ballot secretly, as it remains the way to cast the ballot right now.
We don't know where he's going. Of course, you don't expect him to cast his vote to another political party.
Well, the discussion is not where who he's going to vote for, is how he will vote, whether that process will be satisfactory as far as he's concerned. Like you heard from his running mate earlier, that it's not exactly a perfect process.
And we've been told that Nothing is perfect.
Nothing is perfect.
Even in America, it's not perfect. Even
All right,
Britain,
it's 10 a.m. right now. Time to hand you over very quickly to Veronica Danikoi to give us the news. Over to you now, Veronica.